Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Well, it's time now to review headlines on today's newspapers. And Steve Ayorinde will be doing the honors. We are missing Mr. KK today.
Absolutely. All right. So let's take it from top to bottom on the cover of today's This Day, the newspaper of record. The window story says Oyedele, businesses eligible to claim 3.4 trillion impute VAT credits under Nigeria's new tax laws. Says new tax reform most crucial development in Nigeria since pension reform. That story is on page 5 of today's newspaper. We had Oyedele on the cover of This Day yesterday too, and this one in reviewing the paper, I did ask the question about Oyedele is still explaining some of the points about the tax reform. The laws are now in place. Everybody's expecting that in January, we'll roll with the new reforms. And in any case, the president has announced that a new gentleman will supervise the implementation of the law. But here we have Oyedele still explaining. I thought he has delivered on his job. He has done, enough explanation. Maybe, it's time that he finds something else to do, while once in a while, making clarifications. I think by now, since we have Tegbe has been announced as the man who will implement it, let's also hear his voice too.
Yes.
His understanding of what has been done, so that it doesn't become so that you don't over-explain what you have already put in black and white. And then under that story, the strip there, Falana, presidential prerogative of mercy cannot override judicial process.
Are we still on this topic?
We're on it. We're on it because of the latest issue.
Is it the Miriam Sanda?
The Miriam, yeah. Exactly. Because the case was still in appeal, and the Supreme Court had to affirm her death sentence. So they're basically saying that the president ought not to have granted clemency, commuting her sentence to 12 years, because she had already appealed the judgment. That sentence.
So is that the process? That's the legal process.
That's the legal process.
Because that's why it's called the presidential prerogative of mercy.
What the judges said is that you are preempting
the judgment.
Yeah, right. Because maybe she could have been freed, in which case she would not have needed
a prerogative
of mercy, and you ought to have waited. I'm assuming that.
But this headline. It's quite detailed, saying cannot override judicial process, right?
So
it's the actual process, not that it's that you cannot have. Yes, cannot be granted.
No, of course. Even the judges are not saying that you cannot grant it, because at the end of the day, since you have affirmed that she was still, she is guilty and still must be,
correct.
It's a death sentence.
Yeah.
Then the prerogative of mercy will still apply.
So
because
who
at the end of the
ball
day,
here? These are the questions that we should always ask.
The president was not properly advised.
It was not advised. And what happens?
And maybe this will, stop at the on the desk of the Attorney General of the Federation,
that's the question.
And the committee, because even with the committee, the Attorney General ordinarily should have a say.
I thought that he was
in matters like that, and since the case had been appealed, the advice, the legal advice to the president should have been, on this particular individual, let us wait to see what they will say. If it goes negative, as it has, then you can absolutely, but not to preempt. That's what they are saying.
Does not look good at all.
We must really not be, this anyhowness should reduce, so that we don't keep embarrassing the president, who most probably meant well, And then the story below the masthead, EFCC, Malami didn't meet 5 bail conditions granted him on November 28. Revocation of AGF's bail is political, not law enforcement, ADC insists. The former Attorney General, is still in the eye of the storm, and the EFCC is saying that, no, we're not just keeping him illegally, but he didn't meet his bail condition. I think when we get to Sunday Telegraph, we might see the political dimension of all these sort of trials. But this day has done well to stick with what the EFCC is saying so that people won't read meanings needlessly to the trial of the once powerful Malami, was the Attorney General for Nigeria at that time. But of course, you see that ADC is also saying, they jump into everything, don't they? Anything that will oppose the government, they say that revocation of his bail is political and it's not law enforcement. But then if you didn't meet your bail conditions, what do you expect EFCC to do? And the lead story itself, US-Nigeria close to reaching strategic security agreement on terrorism, says Congressman Moore. That story is on page 5 of today's newspaper. I mean, Moore is still trending a few days or more than a week now since he has returned to America.
Just a few days, I believe.
A few
he's
days.
already granted some interviews already.
He granted a major interview on Fox,
and
where...
also, I think, another channel.
Yeah, and I think you picked it on What's Trending.
No, I haven't touched on the Fox. I picked his visit to the IDP camp in Benue State, where he talked
spoke
about...
at length on that too,
visit,
on Fox. And you will imagine that the things that he was reported to have said here might not be the complete story. Because what he's saying to Fox, with a good amount of data, seems to suggest that he's still saying basically that he's not comfortable at all with the way Christians are being treated in Nigeria, and that the report that will go to President Trump will show precisely, the enormity of the atrocities that have been committed.
One of his tweets, he said that some of the experiences or some of the, when he met with the people that have gone through these atrocities, people living in the IDP
he met families, he
those
went to IDP.
harrowing experiences will never leave him. I mean, he talked about the fact that some women were ripped up of their babies, that their stomachs were slashed, and women watched their babies die in front of them. Their entire families wiped out. These are things that cannot be swept under the carpet in a country like Nigeria.
But I think the forward-looking import of the lead story of this day is the way forward that the two countries are trying to reach, Nigeria and the US, and that in spite of the gory details that will emerge from Congressman Moore's visit to Nigeria, that it looks like the two authorities, Malan Badu on the one hand, and then officials of America, they seem to be on the same page as to how to make progress, and that's the important thing. So we know how bad it has been, but then let's move past that. Let's deal with issues, decisively, and then let's make progress so that people will stop dying, as President Trump will say.
First, investigate, then put the numbers out there, like Dankule did on our previous segment, highlighting the disparity.
He was empirical.
Highlighting the disparity between our figures and what has been reported. And these, I mean, even Congressman Moore saying over 600,000 Christians alone in Benue State alone have been killed. I mean, it just really, really breaks my heart. So once you have those numbers, you have those facts finding, you're able to actually tackle the root cause of this actual problem. So this is all hopefully a win-win.
We must wish them well.
For
we
Nigeria.
Must encourage the collaboration that they're doing. And we must speak, less evil about our country, even though so much bad things have been perpetrated. But of course, let's hope that this collaboration with America will give us the needed and the necessary succor that we desire. Maybe we shouldn't leave the paper before we go to This Day Style without talking about the cover picture. It's the only picture on the cover, and it's about the 58 Heritage chairs for Wiki.
Oh, FCT Minister's birthday. 58. Wow, he's young. 58.
58 years
young.
Wow. Many people might be a bit, pleasantly shocked, or shall we say,
that he's 58.
That he's 58.
I thought he was older, but he really
kind
has.
Of older, isn't it?
Yeah, he has achieved a lot for his age. I mean, he's gone through the ranks of being a, minister, a governor, governor and, commissioner and all of that. He's a lawyer
in a quarter of a century. He has done nothing but work for government.
Work for government, yes.
But you can say serving his people.
Serving his people.
Absolutely.
That's what I mean. Serving his people. So congratulations to him. Happy birthday. And this was yesterday, was it?
It was yesterday.
Yes,
I watched him on
yesterday.
TV. He spoke. I didn't hear much of what he said, but
Yeah, it looked like he was really excited.
I was, fascinated by the white that he put on. The robe and the cap and everything.
Well, speaking about birthdays, Steve.
Yeah.
Today is
one of our own, isn't it?
One of our own, the former managing director of Arise News, Madam Ijeoma Nwogugu. Today is her birthday. We call her IJ.
Yeah.
Happy 60th birthday. She turns 60 today. We at Arise News, we congratulate you.
60.
And I think that there's going to be a dinner tonight. So
there must be.
There will be a dinner tonight with implications. There are always implications. So happy birthday, Madam Ijeoma Nwogugu.
Diamonds are forever. Happy 60th.
Happy 60th, yes. Huge milestone.
Absolutely.
Well, all right. Shall we head over to This Day Style now? This Day Style. And the cover picture, wow. Beautiful, beautiful Yemi Adamolekun. When enough is enough. I mean, she is beautiful. I love her. She's on the cover. I don't think I remember ever seeing her without her glasses. And she should do more with this. She looks absolutely stunning on the cover of This Day Style. And the editor note goes, few Nigerians have held the line for democracy and accountability as consistently as Yemi Adamolekun for over a decade. She has been one of the country's most unrelenting voices for civic responsibility, challenging power, shaping public discourse, and reminding citizens that silence is not neutrality. As the long-serving executive director of Enough is Enough, Nigeria, Yemi helped build one of the nation's most influential advocacy movements, leading landmark campaigns such as RSVP, and playing a central role in the global Bring Back Our Girls movement that demanded justice for the abducted Chibok schoolgirls. Congratulations, Yemi Adamolekun, for making the cover of This Day. I mean, fierce woman. She is the advocate of our time. I believe she's also one of the people that were selected as Advocate of the Year for the MyPad Awards. One of the most influential advocates in Nigeria at this point.
She has done very well, and congratulations to Yemi Adamolekun, for gracing the cover of This Day Style. I've known Yemi for quite a while. She's been part of a good governance group that I belong to, the J9C, January the 9th Collective is called. She's been part of the some of the annual lectures that the club has had. And of course, with Enough is Enough, in, I think, going to almost 2 decades now, she has, put her stamp on political and good governance commentary in Nigeria as one of the most credible voices, particularly on Arise television.
Yes, she's a panelist on This Day Live.
With Dr. Ruben Abati. She has done very well. Is the type of voice that Nigeria needs at this point. She doesn't deodorize things needlessly. She says it as it is. Very credible, very accurate, and very pro-Nigerian and pro-good governance.
Yes. This year, the powerful moment was when she went to lay wreath at the memorial, the Lekki Tollgate Memorial, when those, I don't know who they were, some security guys tried to ruffle her up. And, she stood her ground. She was one of the activists that remembered and went there to actually pay her, her homage right there.
Looking at her in all white is kind of angelic,
glorious,
isn't it?
Yemi, congratulations. Congratulations.
Right. Can we pull up Sunday Telegraph if we have it? There are a few interesting stories, like I mentioned earlier, on the cover story itself. The lead says alleged corruption. EFCC closes in on Buhari's ministers as ex-key men face trial. We are apolitical, executing our duties, says EFCC. ADC, revocation of Malami's bail, political. Like I said earlier, this is like, dimensioning what is going on. If you look at the pictures there, Chris Ngige, Sylvia, who's said to be on the run, but, we know he's out of the country. Malami, and the former aviation minister, what's his name?
Hadi Sirika.
Hadi Sirika, this paper is basically, alleging that it looks like, the EFCC is zooming in on former ministers of Buhari. We wouldn't know if many of them were of the CPC, what's it called, cell of the APC, but then Ngige wasn't, but, EFCC insists this is about
But I haven't
governance.
heard much about Hadi Sirika lately, have you?
Not lately, but you know that he was asked to...
Well, whatever happened to that?
It's something that shouldn't die, because if you no longer need him, and if he has been exonerated, let the public know, so that we don't just assuming that all is well, or that he's just being kept in perpetuity. But there are other people who will say, what about the other ministers? What about other people who at one point picked up and now enjoying in their homes, and we're not hearing anything about their former governors, their former ministers, etc. We don't know. Very quickly, we do not have time. NLC, planned protest, not political. It's against insecurity and poverty. NLC is still on this matter of, let's announce that we will protest. And then government says, come, let us discuss, guys. What's going on there? Let's talk.
It's a modus operandi.
Modus operandi of the NLC. But then, is that what the public wants at this point in time?
No.
You are protesting against insecurity and poverty today, not today. But we see how
they should always protest.
Let them talk sense and engage, in a meaningful manner.
This has been fun, Steve, hasn't it?
Genix,
really fun segment.
Congrats on your award, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to the end of the morning show today. Thank you for watching, and do stay safe. I'm Steve Ayorinde.
And I'm Ojiokwe. For my entire team here in Lagos, Nigeria, enjoy the rest of your morning and, of course, the rest of your day. Goodbye.